for joining us, Live Music Nation podcast. I am with Shawn Larson today, and he is with the district in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I'm excited for this venue because it's a really unique venue. So Shawn, thanks for joining us today. First of all, just give us a little background on you and how you got with the district and what the district is all about. District, is that a privately owned venture? Or...
Yeah. Yep. So locally owned. A couple of guys started it about back in 2013 is when it opened. I think the thought about it was probably back in 2009, 2010, and there wasn't really a venue in town that supported like a 1,500 cap room. So these guys kind of came up with this idea and created this really cool venue that has a restaurant attached to it. And so we're able to do not only concerts, but we can do weddings, we can do corporate events, private parties, things like that. So it's really cool. Yeah. So I worked with the ownership company for probably about 9 years. And how I kind of came to this venue is they were kind of going through a transition and I was open to trying something new. And so about 4 years ago, me and the owner kind of connected and decided that we were going to kind of take this on and build it up into something that Sioux Falls needed. So we wanted to create like a really cool entertainment spot, create like a cool method for concerts, corporate events, weddings, and things like that. So we got together, sifted through a bunch of stuff, and what was working, what wasn't working, and so now I've been here about 4 years, have probably about 150 concerts under.
Nice.
The same for weddings and corporate events and stuff like that. So yeah, we hit the ground running, and so here we are. So
what's the coolest concert you've done thus far?
Coolest concert, the Flaming Lips, they were here. They did that was pretty cool. Just the production and stuff like that they did. Of course, when they blew off the confetti cannons, the cleaning crew doesn't really like that, but it was pretty cool. The entire song, they had confetti just floating out there, and then he got in a big hamster ball and he kind of walked around the crowd and stuff. So seeing that interaction and those things, and just anything with the things that people aren't used to seeing when they come out to like some of these venues that maybe I wouldn't even know, is like just the different production that still can happen in this venue. Where you might see at a larger, 15,000 venue where you see a bunch of flames and a bunch of stuff. But even in here, a 15 cap room, you can still see that stuff. So
that's awesome. So I know you're in South Dakota, but you're also kind of on that border with a lot of other states. What was COVID like for you guys?
COVID, it was interesting. I went back in March. And take it back even to probably about February. We were doing Tanya Tucker. And she was going to do a meet and greet, and all of a sudden, she was like, I just don't know what's going on, and she kind of canceled that meet and greet, kind of day up. So we kind of had to deal with that. We didn't know. I mean, who knew back in February what was going to happen? That was just a little sample of what was going to happen then in March and April. And about March hit, and then when they were pulling people off the basketball courts here in town, we knew something was going on. And everything kind of came to a halt here in South Dakota. Capacity limits were really low. I think it was like 10 or less people in certain situations. So we were done. Like we were just done. We were busy rebooking things, canceling things, kind of reorganizing, shuffling things around in that March, April. But it was week to week too, because like 1 week we're like, is it going to be done by April 1st? Is it going to be done by April 15th? And then we're like, we just got to pull the plug because we don't know. So then kind of pulled the plug. We shut down South Dakota. Then things kind of got lifted midsummer. So then we started seeing some of the bars kind of go back to normal a little bit. Things were kind of coming back to normal because the numbers and cases were low during the summertime of 2020 here. And it hadn't really hit us or affected us yet. We came back in August, and then, we had weddings, and so we were busy. Weddings with tenants were down. We understood. We took different precautions. We did different things. We followed like the CDC guidelines of what the state provided for us. So we took that into account to get through. We did a few shows, but I'm telling you, like social distancing wasn't
sure.
I mean, it wasn't busy by any means. So that's what it was like. And then kind of coming out of that, we got hit hard, last fall. And then by March of 2021, we saw kind of like the light kind of coming up, and saw the light at the end of the tunnel. And so right now, I feel like we're back to normal in South Dakota. There's not a lot of restrictions. There's not a lot of stuff going on. So
how are ticket sales and how are numbers right now?
So overall, I would say what we probably would have done in the past, I would say we're still probably about 80% good. There's probably, I'd say probably about 20% down over the course of the year, just with concerts in general, with ticket sales and attendance. So
what do you feel is that factor? Do you feel it's fear, or do you feel it's just people got out of the habit?
I think a little bit of both. I think definitely got out of the habit. People started like hanging out at home. They started just doing some different things. They just started changing up their ways, and going out in public. I don't think I think a little bit of fear, but I don't think it's a lot. I think it's just a lot of change of ways. I think you hit it there with that.
We've kind of heard that word habit a little bit. Have you guys as a venue focused on just getting people back in the doors in creative ways to kind of get them used to getting back out there?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is just kind of staying patient with this whole thing, just try to keep producing good things, just trying to say like, hey, we're trying to get some good acts. We're trying to get some people out. I think eventually people start seeing those things like, we got to come out. We got to check this out. We've had some really cool shows already this year. Actually, Zach Bryan was just in town and did a sold out show. And, I think after that, you kind of seem like, okay, this is where we need to be. I think this is what people want to see, is some of this newer stuff, things that haven't come around here. So we're trying to create some new things. And I think new things in 2022 is going to bring things really back to normal for us.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. Looking back at COVID, are there some things that you've learned that you're going to continue to, or you're going to keep in place for future?
One thing that we thought worked really well was the door times. We kind of pushed everything back. Normally it was about a 60-minute door time from when the doors opened to the show started. So we kind of pushed that back to 90 minutes, and that allowed traffic to kind of come a little bit slower, so it wasn't so congested at the box office. And then speaking of the box office, just maybe kind of going away from the will call, not getting that so bombarded where we're just going to go, hey, get your mobile tickets. We really want to push that. And so you can just come in with your phone. We'll scan you in. We'll try to get you in as quick as possible. We're trying to eliminate those large groups of just kind of, at the box office efficiently. We did some other things. We did, we propped open like our bathroom doors, trying to make sure like people didn't have to touch a lot of things, right? So we wanted to kind of do that. We took that into account. We'll keep with a lot of those same things. So that's
very cool. I like that you're the first that I've heard openly talk about moving that door open time and spreading that. That makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure there are people that appreciate that, not only for their safety, but just convenience, Yeah. That's got to be great for a guy like me who's going to be last minute and shows up and can get in right away.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Very cool. Very cool. So you mentioned a little bit, you're looking at new acts. What are some qualities that you look at when you are bringing in new artists and new acts?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, can they sell tickets? What kind of style is it as well? But, when you're looking at a national act, those guys kind of speak for themselves as far as what they can do. I would say if you're younger, or if you're newer to the scene and, you want to come out and produce a show, just kind of, have a good marketing background. Make sure that you have a good following. Make sure that you can do things yourself to push a show, to create ticket sales. I think that's the biggest thing. Sometimes we get, we'll get some people that want to come in and want to do some things, but what can you do to produce the show and make it a good show? It's help us out, we'll help you out type of deal. We kind of look for that. We'll kind of look at what they've done, what their history, social media is huge. I mean, what kind of followers do they have? What kind of streaming and stuff like that. You can take a look at those numbers and start putting together, hey, this could be something pretty good.
Sure.
So I think we definitely look at that. Yeah.
Good. That's good advice. That's good advice for up and coming artists for sure. As you go through there. So let's talk staffing for a little bit. As a GM, I'm sure you have a staff that you had to take care of during the pandemic. What was that like for them, and how did you handle that?
Well, we had some full-time employees, not many. It was just more of some like the coordinators and things like that. A lot of the stuff that we do as a venue is a lot of part-time work, with the bartenders and the wait staff and whatnot for the special events. But we just kept everybody in the loop. So we're not going to lay anybody off. You got a job when you come back. When you come back, you're going to have a job. We're going to be busy, so we're going to hit the ground running. So we didn't have to lose anybody, which was great. We didn't have to send anybody on their way. In fact, we kind of brought in some additional staff after the fact, because business was, was kind of coming
Sure.
back. So that's good. For all other staff, just to make them feel comfortable, we listened to a lot of things that they wanted to do, or if they needed some, assistance, or, if they wanted to wear like a double mask, or, whatever they wanted to do to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
We were on board with that, whatever you feel like. And if you didn't feel comfortable and you didn't want to do something, then, that's fine. You didn't have to, we weren't, really lost without you. We were, but, we understood.
For sure.
So
For
understanding.
sure.
Understand
For sure.
so.
You've been there 4.5 years. So obviously the community has embraced you and what you're doing there and your leadership. Yeah. As if you were to talk to yourself 10 years ago, so someone that wants to get into that GM position, wants to be into the event planning and the coordinating and all the things that go with it, what advice would you give them? Number one, how do they get started into something like that? And then two, once they get started, how can they grow?
I mean, you kind of got to be around the industry a little bit. I think, if you're coming right out of college, try to get into like just a coordinating spot. Just try to get in somewhere where you can start to see what the planning process is and how to communicate. And from there, you can kind of see if you're going to, one, like it, and then two, if you want to keep pursuing it to get up to, the other levels of it. From there, it's about building rapport with people, just remembering who people are, keeping involved a little bit with the community, kind of seeing what's out there. You do some of those things and you can kind of catch on, but otherwise just good customer service too. So it always goes a long way. So, so if you can kind of do those things, you're in a good set, you're in a good mind. But, the second part of your question, what was the second part of the question again?
So how can they grow once they get in the door?
Yeah.
How do you escalate that?
Yeah. So you start talking with other people, start talking with other venues, start seeing what other people do. Kind of learn new things, talk to people, listen to people. If they, if you have some ideas, and you should probably have an idea when you come in of kind of where things are at, but sometimes what you don't know, you don't know. So you got to kind of take a look around you and take from what that is and try to build that and implement that into your business plan.
I like that. I like that. Tell me, for you, what is a successful show? I mean, obviously you have a business to run as an event. You've got to support your staff and community, but how would you define a successful concert?
Starts in the beginning, the planning process. You get everybody on board, all the staff shows up, and we're ready to go. From the time that the doors get in, I was kind of associated with like taking off in a plane, right? So when those doors open, you're on that runway, you're taking off, and it's sometimes rocky. You got to get people in, you got to get them in officially. You got some questions, you got some different snafus that happen. Once you get past those things, once that concert starts, you should be about 20,000, 30,000 feet. And at that point, everything's good. And from there, it's just about, is the tour manager happy, for one? Is the band happy? Is there any things like that happen during the day? The stage crew, are they happy with, did everything kind of work cohesively? The sound guys. I think at the end of the day, we have more good shows than bad shows here, which is great.
Sure.
You take a lot of, we have a lot of people that have a lot of, they've been in the industry for a really long time. So they have a really long history of experience and the knowledge that they have too. So it makes my job easy, is that the sound guys know when they come in, they know exactly what's going on.
Sure.
And same with the stagehand guys. So when after all said and done, you kind of look at everything, you're like, hey, you kind of take a good night for granted, but you know when he did bad, when something happened, but you take the good days for granted. But I would say just overall, when everything happens, when everything goes good, you can look back at the end of the night going, hey, we're all here. It was all good. So,
Absolutely. How much do you listen to feedback from attendees? From you do a lot of private events as well.
Yeah.
How much feedback do you listen to, and what sources of feedback do you offer?
Yeah. Well, whether you like it or not, sometimes the reviews, you take a look at that. And that was the first thing that I looked at when I came in. I started looking at some of the reviews and just kind of analyzing what was out there, what were people saying about this place. So I kind of saw that, and I started, okay, well, we need to change this, we need to change this, and we need to change this. And so we started implementing some different ways, some different ticketing systems that are going to help customers just have an overall better experience in the venue. So those avenues, we look at those, and then just, for concerts, if anybody has an idea, like a up and coming band, send us it. Hey, if it works out, it works out. If it was something we already thought about, that's great. If it wasn't, sure, we'll take a look at it and we'll see what works. We're 100% open book to that. We're not going to say, hey, nah, we're good, we know what we're doing. No, definitely, we want to know what the community wants and what the people want, so we can bring that to them. And then as far as everything else goes, it's just the service levels. I mean, you're just basically just trying to grind out what you can do better, and how to handle that from year to year basis, and then also planning and seeing what's coming up and what you could do effectively. New ideas. There's so many cool ideas out there that are happening, and I feel like our town's growing, and so we want to be on the front line of that, to bring it to the venue. So people come to these events or come to like a fundraiser,
right?
And they're like, wow, that was really cool. You guys did something really cool. You guys were open to that. I think those are the things that we really enjoy here, is to say there's nothing really that we can't do, working with a production company or a planning company.
That's great. Well, you're obviously doing good work. Your calendar is full. And we travel through that area a little bit, and so we've heard about it, and we've seen the concerts that are happening there. So it's very cool. And like I said, the community loves you, and that's a great place to be, Shawn. So hey, thanks for joining us this morning. I appreciate it greatly, and we'll look forward to seeing you down the road.
Hey, appreciate it. All right, thanks a lot, Jake.
Well, baby, I'm on it with a ball